What's up everybody, and welcome back to this channel. So today's video I'm going to cover a variety of topics that I've been meaning to cover for a long time, and here's the order I'm going to cover them in. So to start off with, yes, I'm 40 years old. It's official. I'm officially old now. I'm a friggin' ancient fossil of the forgotten old world. 40 years old, and for my 40th birthday, my mother-in-law actually got me this shirt, so shout out to her. I got a cool Shenmue shirt, and anytime I go out in public, if somebody mentions Shenmue, I'm giving them a high five. Second thing I wanted to mention today was the Oregon wildfires that have been going on. I'm not directly affected by the fires, like I'm not in danger of getting my house burned down or anything like that, but the smoke is ridiculous. The smoke actually made its way over here because it was blowing westward, and we got smothered. The whole city just got smothered in smoke. It was ridiculous and insane and gross. There was actual ash falling from the sky. It was kind of like the Silent Hill movie, except it was gross because it was real. So there's an air quality index rating, so anything above a 300 rating for air quality is considered hazardous to healthy people, and it was in the 450s for about 10 days straight. So just to give you an idea about how bad it was pretty gnarly, pretty gross for a while there. But I think we've cleared it and we are back to normal again, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. That was not pleasant. And just to touch base on my previous video, which was the PowerA XP5X controller. This is the Moga controller that they put out for Project xCloud, and you can use that as a mobile gaming controller. It's a great controller, still love it, still works. I really wanted to try out Project xCloud with this controller on my phone, but the problem is, I guess my internet connection is just not good enough, because I tried playing Gears 5 and it was just a lag fest. It would work fine for a few seconds, then it would chop up, and then it would be fine again, and it just wasn't playable, especially if you're playing online against other people. It's like they have the advantage from having a perfectly working game, and me, I'm like struggling with my silly internet connection. So I think it's my upload speed that isn't very good. It's not good enough. So whenever I was putting in a bunch of button presses, that's when the game would slow down the most. So, and that's also why I don't stream like the actual live stream, because my upload speed is pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I can upload videos no problem, but if I'm streaming, it's gonna be ugly and it's gonna be pixelated and not good. But I have a funny story about this. So our power went out during the whole smoke fest. That was just another fun chapter in that whole part. Was our power went out for a few hours, and my wife was like, man, if I knew the power was gonna go out, I would have charged my phone. And I'm like, hey, I got a controller for that. So it worked perfectly. We plugged in her phone, put it in charging mode, and it charged her phone up to like 70% before the power came back on. So it's pretty sweet. So this comes in handy. It's like a little emergency charger if you need it. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the Shenmue anime. This was announced a couple of weeks ago, and quite honestly, I'm not terribly excited about it. I love Shenmue, but I'm not a huge anime fan. I think the last anime I watched was like 15 years ago, so it's been a while since I've seen any, and I just don't care for it. It's just not my cup of tea. It used to be back in the day, but not so much anymore. But there are some good things that could potentially happen as a result of this Shenmue anime. So it's going to be 13 episodes long, and supposedly it's going to cover everything from the first Shenmue game and part of the second game. So you get a pretty good swath of the storyline for Shenmue players and people that are familiar with the storyline, and people that aren't familiar with the storyline will soon become familiar with it because of this anime. So it's going to bring a lot of attention to the series. People that otherwise didn't know anything about it or had no interest in it will now become acclimated to the Shenmue story and know what's going on. So that's the main thing that I like about this Shenmue anime announcement, is that it's going to bring more interest into the series. And another cool thing is that they're going to be filling in some of the story gaps that they had to omit from the first two games. They're basically going to bring some of it back to fill in some of the 13 episodes they're going to put out. And to me, that's the coolest aspect about it. We get to see more fleshed out storylines, side storylines, and things like that. I'm looking forward to seeing the boat chapter, which is the short chapter that takes place between Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2 in animated form. So finally, we get to see it with our own eyes and not just reading it through a comic strip or something like that. Next on my list is the Trials Rising competition that's going to be taking place I mean, you can start building your track right now, but there is a competition for Halloween or nightmare or horror themed tracks. It's called the TNBC, Trials Rising Track Competition. TNBC, of course, stands for Trials Nightmare Building Challenge. And historically, the Halloween season is always the best for trials because there's always really good competitions that come out for track builders to create the best horror-themed track. And every single year, like clockwork, there's just a ton of great tracks that bust out into Track Central from a number of different talented creators, and I love playing them. They're so much fun. And last year, things got a little bit nutty. Let's play some trials. And wow, that looks really good. Like, not good. I'm not a sicko. What in the hell? Wow. Oh man, did you see how cool I almost was? This is gross. I'm like inside it. Oh god! I didn't. It was like that when I got here. Oh god, it's coming for me! Go, go, go! Hit the gas! No! No! Go forward! Oh, so even if you're not a huge Trials Rising fan, if you are subscribed to this channel for other reasons, I would highly recommend checking out my Trials Rising Halloween special that I'm going to be making this year, and I'll be uploading it on Halloween Day, probably in the morning. I'll be recording the night prior and playing all of these cool new horror tracks. I'll try to be dressed up in costume. No guarantees, but I have a couple of ideas. We'll see what happens. One more thing I almost forgot to mention was I'm going to actually be a judge in this competition. So anybody that submits tracks to this competition, I will be one of the judges judging the quality of the track. Is it going to be amazing? How's the driveline? How's the decor? How's the theme? How is it all together? What's the complete package like? So I'm going to be putting in my 2 cents along with the other judges, and there will be prizes given out that are being updated pretty regularly. There's some pretty good ones out there right now, but regardless, it's going to be hilarious and it's going to be fun, and I can't wait. And as you probably noticed behind me, my Arcade 1-Up cabinet, my Rampage Arcade 1-Up cabinet, has seen some modifications if you haven't noticed. The most obvious modification was the addition of LED buttons. I was going to keep the original buttons for the Arcade 1-Up just as they were, but I thought that spicing it up a little bit with LED buttons would be a better choice, and it definitely was. The buttons themselves are higher quality. They don't have that cheap, clicky feel to them. They feel really solid and really good to depress, plus they look really nice. I also took the default artwork and I spray painted over it. I took some high gloss black spray paint and spray painted it out, smoothed it out, and put a finisher on there, a high gloss sealer. So it looks really, really good, especially in person. In video it looks pretty good, but in real life it looks even better. And I changed the button layout a little bit, so players 1, 2, and 3 are all kind of lined up and they have their own little space, so no one's like mixing their spaces and like jumping into someone else's play space. So it's a lot better now. I love it. This is incredible. This is like a dream come true for me. I've always wanted an arcade cabinet, and this is like the way I want it. It's perfect. And tied into that previous topic is Virtua Fighter. I've got Virtua Fighter playing on it right now, the original, but Sega just recently announced Virtua Fighter X Esports. This was announced yesterday during the Tokyo Game Show. It correlates to the 60th anniversary of Sega, and it's been about 10 years since Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown was released, if you can believe it. That's friggin' forever ago. Well, I'm happy to hear that Sega hasn't forgotten about Virtua Fighter. Unfortunately, the announcement of this game is the only thing we know about it. We don't know like when it's coming out. We don't know what console it's coming out for. We haven't seen the game. We don't know any of the features, the characters. We know nothing about it, except for that it's a reboot or relaunch of the original Virtua Fighter, perhaps some sort of reintroduction to Virtua Fighter is kind of the best I can come up with it. So your guess is as good as mine. I'm going to be keeping a really close eye on Virtua Fighter X Esports, and hopefully it's everything we asked for and more. A really good, solid, next-gen Virtua Fighter game with online netcode that's good. I really, really would love that. And finally, last but not least, is the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. So we now know the prices, we know the release dates, we know as much information as we're going to know about them before the consoles are actually released. And I gotta be honest, this is probably the first time in my entire life where I've just not been excited for a new console. I just can't find anything to get excited about either one of them. And I know the consoles are going to be good. They're good pieces of hardware. They're very capable, very fast. We have solid state drives, you got teraflops, we got ray tracing, we got this and that. They can do your laundry. Well, maybe not. They probably can't do your laundry. But they still look like they're good consoles. But the main thing for me is the games. I just don't see any games that are exclusive to either one of these consoles that makes me say, ooh, I gotta buy it to play this game. I just don't see anything like that. Now, if Sony brings back Silent Hills as a PlayStation 5 exclusive, then yeah, I'll be buying a PlayStation 5. Or if Shenmue 4 comes out as an exclusive for one of these two systems, I'll be buying it. If they come out with a new Killer Instinct on Xbox Series X as an exclusive, I'll be buying it. But until then, I'm just kind of waiting and seeing. I'm waiting to see how the console launches, how it is when it comes out, and what games come out for it, because yeah, I'm just not seeing anything that makes me want to buy it yet. I'm not trying to rain on your parade. If you're super excited about these consoles or one of them, I don't want to gray your day or ruin your parade, but it's just not something that I'm looking forward to personally yet. I just can't get excited for it because there's just nothing new that really entices me. Faster loading times, higher resolutions, these are all good things, but not really good enough for me. I need something more. I need a reason to purchase the console. Give me a reason. Give me a new Primal Rage game or something. Give me something. But that is all I got for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I do really appreciate it, and I will see you really soon.